For years, I've owned and perused through my copies of Hyrule Historia, Arts and Artifacts, and Hyrule Encyclopedia as they came out. However, I would constantly put off purchasing Creating a Champion. The reason for this actually doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they're not really canon, as all of them have timeline and some obvious factual mistakes. They're just fun to have a read through and theorize about, right? Actually, the real reason is, one, because I was torn on which copy I should get. I really wanted that blue one with all of the bells and whistles, but I also kind of just wanted the normal one too. The other reason is because every time I would go to add it to my cart, I could think of like 5 other things I really needed to use that money for, you know? But a couple of weeks ago, I happened to be in a Books A Million store, which I rarely am in one of those stores as there are only 2 in my city. My city is huge, by the way, and they're on the complete opposite sides, so I don't tend to get to them very often. After skimming through books, mugs, and journals, I naturally made my way to the geeky section. That's where I found a really cute Snow White Funko Pop that I actually should post on Instagram. Maybe I will before this video is finished. And Creating a Champion, which, as you can tell, I purchased it. And even though I've only quickly flipped through it a few times, there are several things in there that I haven't really heard anyone talk about, unless I just completely missed it, which is possible. So here are 12 things in Creating a Champion that maybe you didn't notice, maybe no one's really discussed, but I certainly found interesting and appreciated. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice and welcome to this weird sort of Zelda discussion video. My initial intro was already pretty long and you get the gist of what's going on here. I'm gonna point out 12 things in Creating a Champion that I found really interesting that no one's talking about. So I don't think I need to drone on much longer. Let's get to those weird things. The first thing is the map that's on both the front and back inside covers. If you look at it, I personally just love all of the detail here, of it looking like it has watermarks and it's faded, using all of like the old ink and everything. Like it looks like the map we recognize, just super messed up and ancient looking, and I just thought that was really cool. The second thing I found very interesting was the order of the section covers. First of all, each section looks like the loading screen for your Breath of the Wild game as you complete the Divine Beasts. Once I noticed that there was a progression to the section covers, I wanted to see, well, which order did they put the Divine Beasts in? Naturally, Vah Ruta was first. Pretty much everyone who plays Breath of the Wild for the first time, if they try to follow an order, if you will, ends up with Divine Beast Vah Ruta. I certainly did, and it makes sense. If you haven't played Breath of the Wild before, you're probably gonna get your butt kicked a lot, and you need Mipha's Grace. The second section cover was Vah Rudania. That also happened to be my second one, which it's just right up there. Makes sense, and then you can defend yourself for a little bit and then be brought back to life by Mipha's Grace, right? I totally expected Vah Meadow to be number 3, which happened to be my third one on my first run through, and having Revali's Gale, very helpful. But no, it was actually Vah Naboris. I'm not saying that there was a very specific reason as to why they put them in the order they did, but if you think about it, that might make sense. Those first 3, with Vah Naboris being the third one, those were the people that Link got along with best, and then leaving Revali's champion Divine Beast thing for last. That was so not articulate on my part. Can you tell this video isn't scripted? Not saying it's something we need to theorize about on the part of the authors who put this together, I just found it interesting. The third thing is the developer's note on page 14. When I drew the official box art and E3 illustration, I wanted to give the sense that Link was confronting the world. My first sketch portrayed Link looking out over Hyrule with his back to the viewer. I then experimented with several other compositions that more prominently featured Link, but eventually settled on the direction of my initial idea. I felt that the world itself, not just the characters, had a leading role in this game. I also wanted to convey that this was the beginning of a new Zelda, so I drew the sky at daybreak. The amount of thought that goes into this. No job, role, or part is unimportant, and you can see that in how awesome the game turned out. Number 4 is a question about what the shadow creature is on page 18. We know this is a bird, okay? But what is this? I don't know what this is. At first I thought maybe it's those spirit dragon, the ones like there's the corrupt one that we free, but it kind of looks like those enemies in Skyward Sword when you go through that like thunder area in the sky. I clearly don't know names of things, and they like have that winging sound and they come around you. It looks like that, but can someone tell me what that is? I don't recall seeing that in the game. Maybe it's been a while since I've played. Next is page 32. If you see here, they have Link 2 different times, and then they have Zelda. I don't recall ever seeing this anywhere. Could be totally wrong. Someone will point that out. But I like that they chose to have Zelda in the picture instead of Link. Just interesting to me. Number 6 is page 141. The original concept for the horse great fairy thing. Thank you for changing this. I am scared. Number 7 is page 204, which has been brought up in videos, I think, so sorry I wasn't completely truthful about that. But speaking of scary things, thank you, Nintendo, for changing this. Nintendo, are you okay? But anyway, thank you for changing this. Number 8 is the developer's note on page 209 about the Great Deku Tree. I wanted to put a cherry blossom tree somewhere in the Hyrule of this game. I think that giving the Great Deku Tree a slightly Japanese aesthetic allows the player to imagine a different view of this world. The Master Sword has averted many calamities alongside the hero, and the pedestal that restores the sword from the damage it incurs in those battles is located in Korak Forest, which brims with the energy of the land. Perhaps by design of the goddess, beside the pedestal a single cherry tree grew. The young tree bathed in the energy flowing through the land and, after an eternity had passed, became the guardian of the blade. How many sacred maidens and heroes opposing countless calamities has this ancient tree witnessed? The backstory gave birth to the Great Deku Tree's design. This old tree has lived for countless generations and is the largest Great Deku Tree of the series. I've never thought about the fact that it was a cherry blossom tree, even though I noticed it and thought it was beautiful. But the fact that there's a story behind it and that it has meaning and that it's the biggest Great Deku tree, I love that. Oh, there we go. Number 9 has to be one of my favorites. It's page 237, and it's the note about the mirroring or chemistry, if you will, between the Great Plateau and the castle. The Great Plateau is paired with the castle as if one were male and the other were female. For example, when looking at the bird statues, the plateau statues have a feminine, supple silhouette, while the castle statues are more masculine. Little things like that. Like, I never would have thought about that, but it makes sense. Number 10 has to do with the study, which is talked about on page 251, and perhaps someone has brought this up, but there's a note in here that just brought new light onto the character of Zelda for me. I created the study out of the concept that since it is in a separate tower, it was originally intended to be used as a lookout station, but was not used at that time. Also, since it was far from her father's watchful eye, Princess Zelda used this room for her research. She struggled to produce results on her own, so I expressed her isolation within the castle through this lone tower. However, I think it will be apparent to players from the remains of the room that she was prolific in her research and continued to fight, looking for ways to help and not giving in to the circumstances. There's more there, but I never thought about the fact that it was isolated and that she would purposely go there so that her father wasn't, getting upset with her, or at least didn't see her. Number 11 has to do with page 267 about the horned statue, which, if you have watched me play Breath of the Wild on stream, it's been a hot second since I've played, you know that I never go to the horned statue. I do not like the demonic feel. I can't do it. I know it's just a game. But the thing is, and I'll show you the picture, they had some different designs for the horned statue. What the heck? Those are, maybe not so much the pitchfork one, but these two are far more clearly demonic looking. Whereas the one we get in the game is more mysterious. It's just like an angel huddled to itself. It's being manipulative, playing with your mind. Oh, see, I'm just gonna do this thing for you. Isn't this good? Isn't this good? Oh, I was so shunned. And that's way more creative. Like, I think that's really good that it wasn't as obvious and it was subtle. It makes more sense, and I love that. Still never gonna go to it, though. And finally, we have number 12. Page 285. This has to be my favorite thing, and I'm not sure whether I'm happy or upset that it didn't make it into the game in some way, shape, or form, and that is the Happy Guardian. On this page, they're talking about the Akala Tech Lab and different concepts they had for it, and what you're about to see is, first of all, the Tech Lab looking more like a Guardian in house form, if you will, but there is a walker, stalker, mobile Guardian outside, and it takes off like its head as if it's a top hat, and it's smiling underneath. Oh my gosh! That's like almost cute. Like, I hope y'all can see that. He's like, hello there, Champion Link. Like, what? I love that. I love that so much. So those were 12 things that stood out to me when I was flipping through for my first time creating a champion. There were other things too that I would consider honorable mentions. If you have the book, I recommend looking at pages 206, 163, 204, 30, 344, and 401. I have to be specific about page 401 though. It's the fact that in the language of the Gerudo, there's no word for sun. So no matter what you think of creating a champion and all these Dark Horse books, we know they're not canon. I mean, they kind of are, but like they're kind of not. You know, it's just for fun, right? Obviously, if you want to be super nitpicky about it, I don't recommend getting them. But if you enjoy just the fun of it and looking through the ideas and the concepts, the developers' notes, it's cool to have. And I'm glad I finally purchased one. Who knows if I'll ever even look at it again, but still. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it was kind of a weird one, but if you did enjoy it, please consider, commenting below things that you thought stood out to you as well. Like, oh, I did not know about the Top Hat Guardian. It's just so funny. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel as we make our way to 10,000. And also, thank you so much to my patrons, especially those in the highly end tier, like Joking Batman, Code and Data, Lorulian Sheep, Trevor, McToppler, and Bucky Ray. Thank you guys so much for your support, all of you. And we have a new patron. Like, I got the notification for it like right before I filmed this video, so whoever the new $5 patron is, hi, and thank you, and welcome. And thank you as well to my channel members for their continued support. If you'd like to catch a live stream, I typically do them Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But make sure you're keeping in touch with my community tab on the channel because sometimes I have to change it due to my job, which comes first because that's my main source of income. And I apologize for how unscripted the video was. I don't like it when my videos are unscripted. Makes me feel like they're really messy, but sometimes y'all like it. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.